A life in silence and profound questioning. Have you ever felt as though life is passing by and you're merely an onlooker? Have you ever woken up to feel the weight of all your choices and regrets resting heavily on your shoulders, with no strength left to start anew? Emily, a woman of 50, knew these feelings well. To many, she appeared accomplished, leading a seemingly peaceful life. But inside, Emily felt trapped in a purposeless routine, as if the spark that once brought her joy had long been extinguished. Emily had dreams, projects, and a once vibrant enthusiasm that drove her to seek new experiences. Yet over time, life's challenges, responsibilities, and even losses caused her to drift away from these deep desires. Unintentionally, she found herself submerged in a monotonous routine where each day mirrored the last, and what once motivated her had reduced to a silent survival. One afternoon, weary of looking at the same walls and the lifeless faces on social media, Emily left home and wandered to a nearby park, seeking something she couldn't quite define. She sat on a bench, gazing at the sky, trying to clear her mind. Suddenly, a movement caught her eye, a soaring eagle. She watched it glide through the air with grace and strength, as if the wind were its ally and the sky its domain. That bird seemed unlike anything Emily had ever seen. It was solitary yet majestic, moving without haste, and even from a distance, it emanated confidence and power. For reasons she couldn't explain, Emily felt drawn to that sight, and without realizing it, she began returning to the park every day, just to observe the eagle's flight. Each movement, each rise and fall in the sky, each challenge of the wind, seemed to tell a story Emily desperately needed to understand. She didn't know it yet, but the eagle would soon reveal profound life lessons to her, lessons that would offer a fresh perspective, a new vision. Through that bird, Emily would uncover answers to questions she hadn't realized were within her, hidden for years, waiting for a sign to emerge. Are you ready to discover what Emily learned from the eagle? The Eagle's Strength, a Journey of Solitary Ascent. In the days that followed, Emily spent hours observing the eagle. There it was, solitary in the sky, soaring above the trees, facing fierce winds with an almost otherworldly ease. Emily noticed that, unlike the birds that often flew in flocks, the eagle seemed to embrace solitude, without fear or hesitation. That sight was both fascinating and reflective, leading her to contemplate her own life. She wondered, what gives this bird such strength to carry on alone, facing everything the sky presents? One of those afternoons, while watching the eagle, Emily began to realize that perhaps the bird's power wasn't only in its wings, but in the confidence it placed in itself. The eagle seemed to follow its own rhythm, knowing exactly what it needed to do to reach the heights. It flew high, not to escape challenges, but as an act of freedom, a way to rise above limitations and reach a vantage point few dared to attain. Emily understood that the eagle's flight wasn't an act of forced solitude, but a journey of self-sufficiency, a freedom born of not needing approval or company to chart its path. In comparing herself to that bird, Emily realized that over the years, she had built walls around herself, walls made of fears, of others' expectations, and of the belief that she needed constant support. She had forgotten the power that lay within herself. The eagle, with its determination to soar alone, taught her that true strength doesn't come from being surrounded by others, but from trusting one's own ability to face whatever comes. Gradually, Emily began to understand the silent message of the eagle. Perhaps it was time to let go of fears and abandon the idea that she needed to follow others' expectations or rely on others' security. It takes courage to rise above comfort zones and face life's winds, even if it means standing alone. The eagle showed her that the more one knows and accepts oneself, the less resistance one meets in adversity, because real strength grows from the courage to be authentic and guided by one's truth. Inspired by this magnificent bird, Emily began imagining ways she could free herself from her own restraints, how she could begin climbing the mountains of her fears and insecurities. Her transformation journey was only beginning, and the eagle, flying high, continued to be her daily source of inspiration. Would you like to know how Emily found her own freedom and strength through the eagle's lessons? The pain of renewal, facing life's demanding transformation. One grey afternoon, while watching the eagle, Emily remembered a story she had read about these birds. She recalled learning that when an eagle reaches an old age, its body no longer responds with the same vitality, its talons become worn, its beak curves, and its feathers grow heavy, hindering the agile flight it once had. At this critical moment, the eagle faces a decision that will define its future. It can surrender and await the end, or it can endure a painful process of renewal. If the eagle chooses renewal, it flies to a mountaintop and begins a challenging ritual that may take months. First, it painfully removes its talons, one by one, enduring an intense and deep pain, knowing it can't survive without it. Next, it strikes its beak against rocks, breaking it off so a new, stronger one can grow. Finally, it plucks each old feather, shedding the accumulated weight of years to make way for new wings. It's a cruel process, with pain few could bear, but the eagle understands that to be reborn and fly higher, it must release what no longer serves. Reflecting on this renewal process, Emily felt a knot in her throat. She wondered how many times in life she had avoided confronting painful changes and how many old feathers she still carried, limiting her flight. She realized that, like the eagle, she too was at a point in life where she needed to make hard choices. Perhaps, she thought, it was time to release old grudges, to let go of relationships and habits that no longer made sense. It was time to put aside others' expectations, to drop the weight of accumulated disappointments, and create space for something new. Emily began to see that the renewal process was non-negotiable, but that this temporary pain would lead her to a place where she could feel light and alive again. The eagle, with its act of removing its own talons and feathers, taught her that sometimes we must shed what we believe to be essential to grow. But this process demands courage, determination, and the will to rebuild oneself even in the face of hardship. With her heart pounding, Emily asked herself, what if I, too, could be renewed? What if I could let go of what holds me back and begin again, no matter how hard it is? That afternoon, under the eagle's watchful eye, she felt ready to face her own mountain. The painful path of renewal, letting go of the past to reawaken. One of those afternoons, as Emily watched the eagle, she remembered something she had read about these magnificent birds. It said that when an eagle reaches an advanced age, it faces a crucial moment in its life. Its old allies, the sharp beak, the strong talons, the robust feathers, no longer respond as they once did. Facing the storms, the courage to resist. On a day when the sky was thick with dark clouds, threatening a storm, Emily, as usual, went to the park to watch the eagle. She didn't expect to see the bird that day, with the storm drawing nearer by the minute. But to her surprise, there was the eagle, rising high as if it were ready to challenge the sky itself. Emily felt a mix of admiration and apprehension. Why doesn't it simply seek shelter and wait out the storm, she wondered. For the eagle, the storm was not something to fear. It saw it as an opportunity. Unlike other birds that sought refuge, the eagle spread its wings and allowed the wind to lift it even higher, soaring above the heavy clouds to reach a place of calm beyond the storm. As she watched the eagle face the fierce winds and rain without hesitation, Emily began to see a parallel with her own life. How often had she hidden or avoided the storms that appeared along her path? In that moment, Emily understood a lesson she would never forget. Running from challenges only kept her where she was, while facing them could lift her to new heights. The eagle didn't seek confrontation but knew that nature's forces could be harnessed to its advantage. It used the storm's intensity to grow stronger and rise above. Emily asked herself, what if, instead of avoiding my own problems, I could use them to grow, to become stronger? She began to reflect on the obstacles in her life, fears, insecurities, regrets. Perhaps, like the eagle, she could face each one with courage and learn to use them to go further. The storm wasn't an end but a passage, fear wasn't a limit, but an opportunity to overcome herself. Inspired by the eagle's courage, Emily felt something ignite within her. She decided she was ready to change her approach to problems, to open her wings and face storms head-on. After all, true strength isn't in avoiding challenges, but in using them to reach what lies beyond. The eagle's vision, seeing with clarity and purpose. Over time, Emily began to observe not only the eagle's majestic flight, but also the precision with which it moved and focused on its goals. One clear morning, Emily marveled at how the eagle always seemed to know exactly where to look, undistracted. The bird had a unique ability to focus solely on what mattered, guided by an unwavering vision toward what was truly important. Following the eagle's gaze, Emily realized that, unlike the eagle, she had often been distracted. She frequently found herself worrying about what others thought or caught up in expectations that weren't her own. The small frustrations of everyday life had pulled her away from her dreams. Witnessing the eagle's clarity, Emily reflected, what if I could keep my focus on what really matters, without letting every little obstacle shake me? She began to remember her old dreams, those that had nearly faded under the weight of daily demands. Emily realized she had spent so much time looking in all directions but had rarely focused on her own path. The eagle, with its piercing, determined gaze, inspired her to shed distractions, to abandon what was secondary, and to rediscover her true purpose. That morning, Emily made a decision. She would reorganize her life and find her focus again, redirecting her energy toward what truly mattered. She promised herself she would be like the eagle, avoiding distractions, staying on course, unaffected by criticism or doubts. She would devote herself to what would bring her growth and fulfillment, something that would make her feel truly alive once more. The eagle's vision became her daily inspiration, a reminder that clarity and focus are essential to achieving her dreams. With that decision, Emily took another step on her path of transformation, feeling more confident each day to live in alignment with what she truly desired. The eagle's flight, Emily's reawakening, and the power of a new beginning. After weeks of observation and learning, Emily was no longer the same person. Each lesson the eagle imparted had become a vital piece in rebuilding her life. She felt that, little by little, she was shedding old fears and releasing the limiting beliefs that had kept her anchored in the past. Now, the transformation that had begun within her needed to manifest in action. That morning, Emily woke up early with renewed energy and a sense of clarity she hadn't felt in years. Inspired by what she had learned, she decided it was time to take control of her life. Every lesson from the eagle served as a guide for her own rebirth, the courage to face the painful process of renewal, the willingness to overcome the storms and use opposing winds to her advantage, the importance of cultivating a clear vision focused on her goals. Now, only the final step remained, taking flight. Emily knew the process wouldn't be easy, that the changes she needed to implement in her life would require persistence and time. But unlike before, she no longer feared the effort. With a confidence that seemed to come from deep within, she decided to break free from old ties. She cut out relationships that drained her energy, moved away from commitments that no longer held meaning, and embraced a lifestyle more aligned with what she truly wanted. She understood that her time and choices were too precious to waste on distractions or influences that didn't resonate with her essence. More than anything, Emily was determined to rediscover her old dreams. Some of them had been dormant since her youth, others had been set aside at some point, overshadowed by routine and obligations. But as she looked at them now, she felt moved to see how much they were still a part of her. She decided to give these dreams the chance to flourish. She revived a project she had abandoned years ago, resumed studies she had always wanted to complete, and, day by day, began to nurture this new version of herself, like someone tending a long-neglected garden. The journey was not without its challenges. She knew that each new choice would require both internal and external changes. Yet each small victory, each step toward what she truly desired, gave Emily a sense of freedom and purpose she had never experienced before. She finally understood what it meant to soar high like the eagle. It wasn't just about overcoming obstacles or seeking success, it was about living in harmony with her heart, embracing the freedom to be who she truly was. Now, Emily knew that the power of a new beginning was within her will, her courage to release what no longer served her, and her determination to build a life that reflected the woman she had become. She felt renewed, whole, and finally free. The eagle, with its soaring flight, had become the symbol of her transformation, a constant reminder that true strength lies in allowing oneself to be reborn whenever necessary. And you? Are you ready to break free from the ties that bind you and reawaken in pursuit of a life filled with purpose and meaning? Follow Emily's example and discover that it's never too late to soar higher. The rebirth inspired by the eagle's flight. Emily's journey shows us that it's never too late to start anew. Despite the hardships, the burdens we carry, or the insecurities that hold us back, there is always the possibility of renewal. We just need to look within, face the challenges, and believe that there is an unbreakable strength within us, waiting to be unleashed. Like the eagle, each of us can find a new horizon, a new version of ourselves, if we have the courage to release what doesn't serve us and embrace the freedom to become who we truly want to be. Thank you to each of you who stayed with me until the end of this story. I have one last request: help this channel grow. Comment on this video, leave your like, and if you're not yet subscribed, please subscribe. You are my fuel, my motivation to keep working and bringing inspiring messages like this one. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles, they will run and not grow weary, they will walk and not be faint. Isaiah 40 verse 31. May God be with you and grant you the strength to face and overcome each new stage of your journey.